The sound came first. Not the crash itself, but the scream of an engine pushed beyond its limits, the desperate whine of metal and rubber fighting physics on wet asphalt. The Mercedes S-Class, midnight black with custom leather interior worth more than most annual salaries, tore through the empty Detroit streets like a wounded animal fleeing predators. Inside, Victoria Hartwell gripped the steering wheel with hands that had signed million-dollar contracts but had never known this kind of fear. 31 years old, chief executive officer, daughter of a dead man, and in exactly 43 seconds almost a corpse herself. The phone on her dashboard lit up for the 7th time in 10 minutes. ASHFORD, CFO. She didn't answer, couldn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the rearview mirror, on the black SUV that had been following her since she left the manufacturing plant, on the choice she'd made that would change everything. 85 miles per hour on a 45-mile-per-hour road. The city blurred past. Closed storefronts, vacant lots, the skeleton of what Detroit used to be before the world moved on. Her foot found the brake pedal. Nothing. She pressed harder. The pedal went to the floor like a broken promise. No resistance, no friction, no hope. The realization hit like ice water. Someone had cut her brake lines. Someone who knew exactly how long it would take for the hydraulic fluid to drain, who understood that she would make it most of the way home before physics and gravity conspired to kill her. 50 to 60 miles, a mechanic had told her just hours before. You have 50 to 60 miles before total failure. She'd driven 58. The intersection appeared ahead. Woodward and Grand Boulevard, red light, cross traffic, a container truck moving through the green, oblivious, massive, unstoppable. Victoria's hands jerked the wheel. The Mercedes responded, sliding tires screaming their objection. The world tilted. Metal met concrete met physics. The sound was catastrophic. Glass exploded. Steel crumpled like paper. The airbag deployed with the force of a bomb. Then silence. The terrible silence that follows violence. Smoke rising from the hood. Gasoline smell mixing with burning rubber. Victoria's head against the deployed airbag, blood running from her temple. Her consciousness flickering like a faulty light. In, out, in, out. Somewhere in the distance, maybe 200 yards away, a small auto repair shop was closing for the night. 30 seconds earlier, the mechanic. Williams Auto Repair sat on Woodward like a reminder of better days. The sign, hand-painted by Jamal's grandfather 40 years ago, promised honest work and fair prices. The building itself was modest. 2 bays, a small office, a bathroom that needed updating. But the floor was clean, the tools organized, the work ethic solid. Jamal Williams moved through the closing routine with the efficiency of ritual. 32 years old, black, muscular in the way that comes from actual labor, not gym vanity. His hands told stories in scars and calluses, oil under the fingernails, a burn on his left forearm from a radiator that had surprised him last Tuesday. These were working hands, honest hands. Hands that had once diffused bombs in Fallujah and now changed oil for single mothers who couldn't afford dealership prices. He rolled down the bay door, checked the locks, killed the lights in the back. The radio, tuned to NPR, droned about corporate scandals and political theater. He wasn't listening. His mind was on the next day's schedule. Mrs. Chen's Camry needed a timing belt. The Rodriguez family's minivan had a check engine light that was probably just a sensor. Simple work, predictable work, safe work. Safe was what mattered now. Inside the office, Destiny sat at the desk that was too big for her, swinging legs that didn't reach the floor, working through multiplication tables with the same focused intensity her father brought to engine diagnostics. 7 years old. Smart beyond her years in the way children become when they lose a parent too young. Her mother's eyes, her father's determination, a combination that made Jamal's chest tight every time he looked at her. She glanced up when he entered. "Daddy, is 12 times 7 84? "That's right, baby. Mrs. Patterson says I'm the best in class at math." "That's my girl." He moved to the small kitchen area, opened the cabinet, pulled out the makings of tomorrow's lunch: peanut butter, jelly, bread that was a day from stale but still good enough. Money was tight. It was always tight, but they had each other and they had enough, and Jamal had learned the hard way that enough was more than most people ever got. The explosion sound came through the walls, muffled but unmistakable, metal on metal, the particular violence of a car crash. Jamal froze, knife in hand, peanut butter jar open. For exactly 2 seconds he was back in Afghanistan. The sound of an IED, the screaming, the smell of burning flesh and diesel fuel. His team leader, Rodriguez, bleeding out in his arms, begging him to save his wife if he didn't make it. "Save her, Ghost, promise me, save her." Jamal had promised. Rodriguez had died anyway. The wife had moved to California and never answered his calls. He blinked, shook his head. Detroit, 2024, not Helmand Province, not 2016. He set down the knife carefully, walked to the window, looked out. 200 yards down Woodward, smoke rose from a crumpled Mercedes wrapped around a light pole. Small flames were starting to lick from under the hood. People were gathering, phones out, recording instead of helping. Nobody was moving toward the car. Jamal's jaw tightened. "Not my problem," he said to the empty room. "Call 911, let the professionals handle it." He turned away from the window, took 2 steps toward the office, stopped. The smoke was getting thicker. The flames were spreading. Whoever was in that car had maybe 30 seconds before the fire reached the fuel tank, maybe less. Destiny looked up from her homework, saw his face, knew that expression. "Daddy." "Stay here." His voice was already different, harder. The voice that had given orders to special operations teams in combat zones. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me." "But Daddy, where are you?" He was already moving, out the door, into the street, running. The rescue. 32 seconds. That's what Jamal's training told him he had. 32 seconds from when gasoline met open flame to when the fuel tank became a bomb. He'd seen it happen in Iraq. A civilian vehicle hit by small arms fire. The driver still alive when the car exploded. The screaming had lasted 5 seconds. It had felt like 5 hours. He ran, combat boots pounding pavement. The crowd parted without knowing why, something in his movement that said professional, that said move or be moved. 20 seconds, he reached the Mercedes. The driver's door was crumpled, jammed, impossible. Flames were creeping across the hood. Jamal's mind shifted into the mode that had kept him alive through 3 tours: assessment, options, execution. The back window, still intact, weakest point of structural compromise. He scanned the ground, found a chunk of concrete, picked it up, swung hard. The window exploded inward. Safety glass designed to break into small cubes instead of shards. Good engineering. He cleared the frame, reached in. The driver was a woman, 30-something, white, expensive suit, blood on her forehead, breathing shallow but present, pulse visible in her neck. Alive. 15 seconds. Jamal grabbed the seat belt, jammed. The crash had twisted the buckle mechanism. He pulled his multi-tool from his belt, Navy issue, 10 years old, never failed him yet, flipped open the knife, sawed through the belt webbing. The woman's weight shifted. He caught her, pulled. Her body was dead weight, unconscious, uncooperative. He adjusted his grip. Fireman's carry. Technique drilled into him at Great Lakes Naval Station 19 years ago. 10 seconds. He moved, not running. Can't run with a body, controlled speed. Maximum efficiency, away from the car, toward the sidewalk. The crowd was bigger now, everyone filming. Nobody helping. Modern America in a nutshell. 5 seconds. He set her down on the concrete. Not gentle. No time for gentle, but controlled. Her head didn't hit. Small victories. He turned. The car was fully involved now. Flames through the windows, smoke black and toxic. He ran back. "Are you insane?" someone shouted. Jamal ignored them. At the car. The hood release was inside, unreachable. The flames were too intense, but the hood itself, external latch, old-school safety feature if he could just. His hands found the mechanism. Hot, burning hot. He gritted his teeth, felt his skin blister, ignored it. The hood popped. He lifted, reached in, found the battery cables, grabbed, pulled. The electrical connection severed. The fuel pump died. The flames, deprived of their electrical ignition source, faltered, didn't stop, but faltered. Enough. The battery exploded, small, not catastrophic, but enough to throw Jamal backward. He hit the ground, rolled, came up, hands burned, shirt smoking, ears ringing. But alive, and so was she. Sirens in the distance. Getting closer, the crowd pressing in, phones everywhere. Jamal walked back to the woman, knelt, checked her vitals, breathing steady, pulse strong, concussion definitely, possible internal injuries, but alive. She opened her eyes, unfocused, confused, looking at him without seeing him. "Who?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Who are you?" Jamal stood. He was covered in soot. His hands were burned. Tomorrow they would hurt like hell. Tomorrow he would have to explain to destiny why he'd run toward danger instead of away from it. Tomorrow he would have to reconcile the man he'd been with the man he was trying to become. But tonight he'd made a choice. Same choice he'd always made. Help the person in front of you. Deal with consequences later. "Just a mechanic," he said. "You're safe now." Her eyes closed again. The sirens were close. Ambulance, fire truck, police. Time to go. He didn't need questions, didn't need his name in reports, didn't need the attention that came with being a hero when all he wanted was to be invisible. Jamal walked away, through the crowd, back toward his shop. Nobody stopped him. In the chaos, a black man in work clothes was invisible. Some blessings were mixed. Destiny was at the window when he returned, face pressed against the glass, relief washing over her features when she saw him. She unlocked the door, threw herself into his arms. "I told you to stay inside," he said softly. "I was inside, but I saw. Daddy, you saved her." He held his daughter close, felt her heartbeat against his chest, felt his own heart still racing from adrenaline and fear, and the muscle memory of combat that never quite went away. "Yeah, baby, I did." 12 hours earlier, 2 worlds. Detroit at dawn was softer than Detroit at night. The harsh edges blurred by morning mist rolling off the river. The sun caught the glass towers of the Renaissance Center, turned them gold and copper, made them look like promises kept instead of promises broken. In one of those towers, Victoria Hartwell stood at a floor-to-ceiling window, 45 stories up, coffee in hand, watching the city wake. She'd been there since 5 a.m., couldn't sleep. Hadn't really slept since her father died 8 weeks ago. The coffee was her 4th cup. Her assistant would arrive at 8 with a 5th. By noon, she'd be at 7. By evening, her hands would shake. But she'd be awake, alert, in control. Control was all she had left. The office around her was designed to intimidate. Massive desk, Herman Miller chair, art on the walls that cost more than cars, diplomas from Harvard Business School, awards from industry groups, photos of her father shaking hands with senators and celebrities, the life he'd built, the company he'd created from nothing. Hartwell Medical Technologies, $500 million in annual revenue, 800 employees, cutting-edge cardiac equipment that saved lives every day. Her father's legacy, her inheritance, her burden. The phone on her desk buzzed, not her assistant. Too early, she glanced at the screen. Richard Ashford, Chief Financial Officer, 58 years old, 20 years with the company, 10 years plotting to take it over. She let it ring, 4 times 5, then answered, "Richard, it's 6 a.m. His voice came through smooth as oil. "Early bird gets the worm, Victoria. We need to talk about your father's discretionary spending in his final months. Some irregularities have come to light." "Irregularities? Corporate speak for we're coming for you." "I'll review the reports and get back to you," she said. "I'm afraid that won't work. The board has concerns, fiduciary duty concerns. We need a meeting today, mandatory attendance." Mandatory, as if she wasn't the CEO, as if this was his company instead of hers. "I'll have my assistant schedule something," she said, and hung up before he could respond. She set the phone down, looked at her hands. They were shaking, not from the coffee, from rage, from fear, from the growing certainty that her father's car accident 8 weeks ago hadn't been an accident at all. The brakes had failed, the police report said. Catastrophic failure due to age and wear. Jonathan Hartwell, 62 years old, dead on impact when his car left the road at 70 miles per hour and hit a tree. The same car he'd maintained meticulously. The same brakes he'd had serviced 3 weeks before. Victoria had questions. The police had answers. Case closed. Tragic accident. Sorry for your loss. But Victoria knew her father, knew his precision, knew his habits, and she knew Richard Ashford, knew his ambition, knew what he stood to gain from Jonathan's death. Everything. Her phone buzzed again, this time a text from her mother. "Emily asks about you. What should I tell her?" Victoria closed her eyes. Emily, 8 years old, living with her grandparents since Victoria took over as CEO 2 years ago. The daughter she saw twice a month. The daughter who drew pictures of their family with Victoria as a small figure in the corner. The daughter who was learning that mothers were optional. She typed back, "Tell her I love her. I'll call tonight." She wouldn't call tonight, she knew it. Her mother knew it. Probably Emily knew it too. The sun climbed higher. The city came alive. Victoria stood at the window and watched and felt nothing. She'd learned not to feel. Feeling was weakness. Weakness was failure. Failure meant losing everything her father had built. She would not fail, no matter what it cost. The other side of town. Williams Auto Repair opened at 7 a.m. Jamal had been there since 6:30, prepping the bays, reviewing the day's schedule, making sure everything was ready. Destiny sat in the office, eating cereal and watching cartoons on the old TV Jamal had rescued from someone's curb. The picture was fuzzy, but she didn't complain. Complaining wasn't in her nature. The first customer arrived at 7:15. Mrs. Chen, 62, widowed, Toyota Camry with 200,000 miles. She pulled in slowly, carefully, the way people drive when they know their car is on its last legs and one wrong move might kill it. Jamal met her in the bay. "Morning, Mrs. Chen." "Morning, Mr. Williams. It's making that noise again." "Let me hear it." She started the engine. The knock was immediate, rhythmic, mechanical. Jamal listened, not with his ears, with something deeper. A skill his grandfather had taught him, a skill the Navy had refined, a skill that made him worth 10 regular mechanics. He heard the frequency, the timbre, the subtle variations that spoke of metal tolerances and heat expansion and bearings going bad. 3 seconds of listening told him more than an hour of diagnostic testing would tell most technicians. "Timing belt slipping," he said. "Water pump bearing starting to go. You've got maybe 500 miles before catastrophic failure." Mrs. Chen's face fell. How much? This was the part Jamal hated. The part where he had to choose between paying his own bills and helping someone who needed it. He looked at her car, saw the rosary hanging from the mirror, the baby seat in back, the bumper sticker that said, "Proud Grandma." Parts run about $240, labor usually $180, but, he paused. You helped out at the church fundraiser last month for the kids' after-school program. I saw you there. Yes, I volunteer sometimes. Then we'll call the labor 100. You pay when you can, no rush. Her eyes welled. Mr. Williams, I can't let you. It's already decided, Mrs. Chen. I'll have it ready tomorrow afternoon. She nodded, unable to speak, walked away wiping her eyes. Jamal watched her go and felt the familiar weight. The weight of being the person people counted on. The weight of having skills that made a difference. The weight of responsibility that never ended. Destiny appeared at his elbow, 7 years old but already reading situations like a novel. You charged her less again. She needed help. We need money too, Daddy. We have enough. Is enough enough? Jamal looked down at his daughter, saw her mother in her eyes. Sarah, dead 3 years, car accident on I-75, black ice, wrong place, wrong time, wrong outcome. The call had come while he was in Kandahar. By the time he got home, she was already buried. Destiny had been 4, too young to understand, old enough to remember. He'd left the Navy the next day, came home, opened the garage his grandfather had left him, chose a life that kept him close to his daughter, chose safety over service, chose small over significant. And most days it was enough. Enough is what we make it, baby, he said. Now go finish your breakfast. School starts in an hour. She ran off. Jamal turned back to Mrs. Chen's car, popped the hood, started the work, lost himself in the mechanical simplicity of nuts and bolts and things that could be fixed with the right tools and enough patience. If only everything in life was that simple. The first meeting. Victoria left her office at 2 p.m., told her assistant she had an outside meeting, didn't say where, didn't explain, just walked out, took the elevator to the parking garage, got in her Mercedes, the same car that would try to kill her in 9 hours. She drove without destination at first, just drove, through downtown, past the old train station, into neighborhoods that used to be thriving and now were mostly memories. Detroit had that effect, made you think about what used to be, what could have been, what was lost. Her father's manufacturing plant was in the East Side, the original Hartwell medical building, where it all started 40 years ago. Jonathan Hartwell with a dream and a loan and a belief that he could make equipment that saved lives. The building was old now, mostly storage, but his office was still there, untouched since his death. Victoria had kept it that way, couldn't bear to clean it out. She parked, looked up at the building, red brick, 4 stories, windows that needed washing, a sign that needed painting. Her father had loved this place, more than the corporate tower, more than the modern facilities. This was where his heart lived. She went inside, past the security guard who nodded but didn't speak, up the stairs to the 3rd floor, down the hallway that smelled like decades of industrial work, to the office at the end. The door was locked. She had the key, had carried it since the funeral, hadn't used it until now. Inside, everything was exactly as he'd left it, papers on the desk, coffee mug still half full, photos on the wall, Victoria and Emily at the beach, Victoria's college graduation, her wedding to a man she divorced 5 years ago, a life in snapshots. She sat in his chair. It still smelled like his cologne, English leather, old-fashioned, exactly like him. The desk had 3 drawers, 2 unlocked. One locked. She'd never asked about the locked drawer, never pushed, respected his privacy even in death. But today, privacy didn't matter. Today she needed answers. She forced the drawer. The lock broke easily. Inside, a single USB drive in a clear plastic case. A label in her father's handwriting, Insurance JH. Victoria's hand shook as she picked it up. This was it. Whatever he'd been hiding, whatever had gotten him killed, all of it on a thumb drive smaller than her finger. She plugged it into her laptop. The screen went black, then white, then a password prompt appeared. 1 chance, 3 attempts, then permanent lockout. She tried Emily's birth year. Wrong. Tried the company founding date. Wrong. 1 attempt left. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What would her father use? What mattered most to him? Footsteps in the hallway, getting closer. Victoria froze, looked at the door. It was supposed to be locked. The building was supposed to be empty except for security. The footsteps stopped outside her office, a shadow under the door. Someone was there, listening, waiting. Victoria closed the laptop, put it in her bag, stood, walked to the door, opened it fast. The hallway was empty. No one there but fresh footprints in the dust, size 12, men's dress shoes, leading away toward the stairs. She was being followed, had been since she arrived, maybe longer. Victoria ran to the stairs, down 3 flights, out to the parking lot. Her Mercedes was there, alone, untouched. She got in, locked the doors, started the engine, pulled out. In her rearview mirror, a black SUV pulled out 3 cars back, tinted windows, Michigan plates, following at exactly the same speed, matching her turns, professional surveillance. Victoria's heart raced. She needed help, needed someone who understood mechanical systems, someone who could tell her if her car had been tampered with like her father's. She needed a mechanic, an honest one, someone who didn't know who she was, someone who owed nothing to Ashford or the board or anyone else. She drove west, toward Woodward Avenue, toward a neighborhood she'd never been to, looking for a garage that looked trustworthy, looking for help from a stranger. What she found was Williams Auto Repair, honest work, fair prices, a hand-painted sign that spoke of integrity. She pulled in. It was 5:45 p.m., almost closing time. A man was outside, black, 30-something, work clothes covered in oil, cleaning his hands with a rag. He looked up when she arrived, didn't smile, didn't frown, just waited. Victoria got out, realized she was overdressed, suit and heels in a garage where people wore jeans, out of place, out of her element, out of time. "Are you the owner?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." His voice was quiet, respectful but not deferential. He didn't care who she was. "I need someone to inspect my car. Tonight, I'll pay double your rate." "We're closed, ma'am. Come back tomorrow." "Triple." He looked at her, really looked, seeing past the suit and the desperation. "What's wrong with your car?" "I think someone tampered with it." That got his attention. Tampered how? "I don't know. That's why I need you." He glanced at the office window. Victoria followed his gaze, saw a little girl inside, 7 or 8, doing homework, his daughter. He was a single father. She could see it in how he looked at the child, like she was his whole world. "Give me 5 minutes," he said. "I need to set up dinner for my daughter." "Of course, take your time." He walked into the office. Victoria watched through the window, saw him microwave something, set it in front of the girl, kiss her head, say something that made her smile. The tenderness was unexpected. Jamal Williams, she would learn his name later, didn't fit her image of a mechanic. There was something else there, something deeper, something hidden. He came back out, popped the hood. Victoria did. Jamal moved around the car with professional efficiency, not rushed, Not slow, methodical. He got down on the ground, slid under, disappeared from view. Victoria heard him moving, testing, checking. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 15. He emerged. His expression was grim. "Ma'am, your brake lines are cut, partially, designed to fail under pressure. You've got maybe 50, 60 miles before total failure." The world tilted. Victoria grabbed the car for support. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. This is professional work. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." "Oh my God." "Ma'am, you need to call the police. This is attempted murder." Victoria shook her head. "They won't believe me. The person who did this, he's powerful, connected. I need proof." "What kind of proof?" She pulled out her phone, showed him the USB drive photo. "My father left this. I think it contains evidence, but it's password protected and I have one attempt left." Jamal looked at the image, looked at her. "Who's trying to kill you?" "The CFO of my company. He killed my father 2 months ago, made it look like an accident, brake failure just like this." Something shifted in Jamal's expression. Recognition, understanding, same method. "Yes." "And you came here because?" "Because I saw your sign, honest work, fair prices. I'm hoping that's true." Jamal was silent for a long moment. Victoria could see him thinking, weighing, deciding. She didn't know what he was deciding. Didn't know that he was thinking about Rodriguez, about promises made to dying men, about the choice between safety and service, about whether a man could ever really leave war behind or if war just followed you home in different uniforms. "I can't fix your car tonight," he said finally. "It's too dangerous to drive, but I can look at your USB drive, see if I can figure out the password, that's all. Then you find a professional, someone trained for this." "You're not trained." "Not for this kind of thing." He was lying, Victoria could tell, but she didn't push. She needed his help more than she needed his truth. "Okay, where?" "I know a place, public, safe. Meet me there at 8 p.m. He gave her an address, a diner on Gratiot, 24 hours, always busy, hard to kill someone in a crowded diner. Victoria nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Williams, Jamal Williams." "Thank you, Mr. Williams. I'm Victoria." "I know who you are, Miss Hartwell. Your father's death was all over the news." She shouldn't have been surprised. Everyone knew. Everyone had opinions. Everyone thought they understood what she was going through. No one did. 8 p.m., she said. "I'll be there." She got in her car, drove away carefully. In her mirror, Jamal watched her go, his expression unreadable. A man with secrets looking at a woman with secrets. Two strangers about to become something else. Partners, allies, maybe more, but neither of them knew that yet. All they knew was that danger was coming, and when it arrived, everything would change. The password. The diner was exactly what Jamal promised. Bright lights, busy tables, families eating dinner, teenagers on dates, truckers stopping for coffee. The smell of grease and coffee and pie, Americana in a red vinyl booth. Victoria arrived first, ordered coffee she didn't drink, watched the door, her laptop sat on the table. The USB drive was in her purse, her hands shook. She hid them in her lap. Jamal arrived at 8:03, spotted her immediately, slid into the booth across from her. He'd changed clothes, jeans, clean shirt, still work boots, but cleaner, showered. His daughter wasn't with him. "Where's your daughter?" Victoria asked. "With my sister, 2 hours north, safe." "You think she's in danger?" "I think anyone connected to you might be in danger, so I took precautions." Smart, Victoria wished she'd thought about Emily, about moving her somewhere safer. But Emily was already far away. with Victoria's parents in Grosse Pointe, as safe as money could make someone. "Show me the drive," Jamal said. Victoria handed it over. Jamal plugged it into her laptop. The password screen appeared. One attempt remaining. He stared at it, not trying yet, just thinking. "Tell me about your father," he said. "What did he love?" "His work, the company, saving lives." "What about you? What did he call you?" Victoria hesitated. "Firefly, he called me Firefly." "Why?" "I was born during a storm. Power went out. He said I was the only light in the room." Jamal typed slowly. Firefly hovered over enter, stopped. Too obvious, he'd know that. What's significant about fireflies? A memory, a place. Victoria closed her eyes, thought back. "We used to catch them, every summer, in the backyard of our old house, until I was 10 and we moved to the city." "What year?" 1998, June 14th, the day we moved. Jamal typed, Firefly061498. His finger hovered over enter. He looked at Victoria. "You sure about this? If I'm wrong, the drive locks forever." "I'm sure." He pressed enter. The screen went black. Loading, loading. Victoria held her breath. Then, access granted. Files appeared, audio recordings, spreadsheets, video files, a treasure trove of evidence. Everything her father had collected, everything that had gotten him killed. Jamal clicked the first audio file. Richard Ashford's voice filled the diner, not loud, but clear. "Jonathan, the cardiac valve project is bankrupting us. We need to shut it down." Her father's voice responded, tired, determined. "Those valves will save lives. I won't abandon them for profit." "Then you're abandoning your shareholders." "Let them try to remove me." The file ended. Victoria's hands covered her mouth, tears in her eyes, her father, fighting for what was right, even when it cost him everything. Jamal clicked the next file, financial records, wire transfers to offshore accounts, $85 million, stolen over 3 years, all authorized by Richard Ashford's digital signature, embezzlement, fraud, enough to send him to prison for life. The final file was a video, her father alone in his office, tired, scared, but resolute. "Victoria," he said to the camera, "if you're watching this, I'm dead. Ashford knows I found the evidence. He's going to try something. If anything happens, take this to the FBI, to the SEC, expose him. And Vicky." His voice broke, tears ran down his face. "I'm sorry I wasn't a better father. Sorry I chose work over you and Emily. If I could go back, I'd choose you. Every time. I love you, Firefly. I always have." The video ended. Victoria was crying, silent tears streaming down her face. Jamal looked away, giving her privacy, giving her space. The diner noise continued around them, life going on, oblivious to the grief in booth 7. After a minute, Victoria wiped her eyes. The next day he died. "Same method," Jamal said quietly. "Break failure." "We have him. This is enough." "Enough for what?" "The FBI. They'll take weeks to investigate. Ashford has lawyers, money, connections. How long before he gets to you?" "So what do I do?" Jamal was quiet. Victoria could see him thinking, could see the gears turning. This man who claimed he was just a mechanic but who thought like a strategist, who moved like a soldier, who spoke like someone trained to assess threats and neutralize them. "You disappear," he said finally, "until this evidence goes public, until Ashford can't touch you without making it obvious." "I can't disappear. I have a daughter, a company." "You also have a price on your head." The truth of it settled over the table like fog. Victoria looked at Jamal, really looked. saw the scars on his hands, the way he sat with his back to the wall, the constant scan of the room, the alertness that never stopped. "You're not just a mechanic," she said. "No. Military. Navy, a long time ago." "What did you do?" "Things I don't talk about. I need someone I can trust, someone who can protect me until this is over. Are you that person?" Jamal shook his head. "I have a daughter, responsibilities, I can't." "I'll pay you $50,000 more if you need it." "I don't want your money." "Then what do you want?" He looked at her, eyes dark and honest and carrying weight she couldn't name. "I want you to leave my shop alone. I want my daughter safe. I want a quiet life." "It's too late for that. Ashford knows I came to you. He's probably watching right now. If you walk away, he'll still see you as a threat." Jamal's jaw tightened. He knew she was right, could feel it, the trap closing, the past catching up, the war he'd left behind finding him anyway. "One condition," he said. "We keep Destiny out of this. Whatever happens, she stays safe." "Agreed. And when this is over, you forget you ever met me." Victoria extended her hand across the table. "Deal." Jamal looked at her hand, small, manicured, soft, the hand of someone who'd never worked a day of physical labor, but also the hand of someone fighting for her life, for her father's legacy, for justice. He took it, shook once, firm. The deal was sealed. Two strangers bound by circumstance and necessity and the shared understanding that sometimes the right thing is the hard thing, and you do it anyway because that's what decent people do. What neither of them knew, sitting in that diner with evidence of murder on a laptop and danger closing in from all sides, was that this partnership would become something more, that protecting each other would turn into caring for each other, that the mechanic and the CEO would find in each other what they'd been missing: purpose, connection, a reason to fight for tomorrow instead of just surviving today. But that was still ahead, hidden in the days to come, in moments they couldn't predict. For now they had a plan. Victoria would copy the files, send them to trusted journalists, to the FBI, to the SEC, create multiple points of failure so Ashford couldn't stop all of them. Jamal would keep her alive long enough for the truth to come out. They would be careful, strategic, smart. They would also be hunted. Because in the parking lot outside, hidden in the shadows between streetlights, a man sat in a black SUV with a phone to his ear, reporting what he'd seen, who Victoria had met with, where they'd gone, what they'd discussed. Richard Ashford listened on the other end, sitting in his penthouse office, 45 stories above Detroit, looking down at the city like a king surveying his kingdom. The mechanic was a complication, an unexpected variable, but variables could be eliminated. "Follow them," Ashford said into the phone, "and when you have a clear shot, take it." The line went dead. The hunter started his engine. The prey finished their coffee, and the clock ticked toward midnight, toward the crash that had already happened in the first 3 minutes of this story. Toward the moment when Victoria's brakes would fail and Jamal would save her life for the second time and the real story would begin. The story of redemption, of justice, of two broken people learning that sometimes broken pieces fit together better than whole ones ever did. But that story starts with survival, with fire and metal and split-second choices, with a man choosing to run toward danger instead of away from it, with a woman choosing to fight instead of hide. It starts with a crash. And crashes change everything. The night moves forward. They left the diner separately, Victoria first, Jamal 5 minutes later. The tale was professional, 3 cars back, changing vehicles, multiple people. Ashford had resources, had trained his people well, but not well enough. Jamal spotted them within 2 minutes. Navy SEAL training had advantages. Situational awareness drilled until it became instinct. He could feel surveillance the way some people feel weather changes. He didn't tell Victoria, not yet. Let her drive. Let her think she was safe. He followed her at a distance, parallel route, watching her watchers, making sure they didn't make a move. Victoria drove to the Westin. Downtown, expensive, safe. She parked in the underground garage, took the elevator to the 18th floor. Room 1847. Jamal knew because he'd called ahead, asked the concierge to confirm a guest, pretended to be delivering flowers. Small lies for larger truths. He parked 3 blocks away, walked back, took the stairs, 19 flights, didn't break a sweat, stayed in shape even now, even in civilian life, because bodies remember, muscles know. And somewhere deep inside, Jamal Williams had never really left the teams. He just pretended to, for destiny, for peace, for the hope that war could be left behind. He knocked on room 1847, soft, 3 times, a pattern. Anyone listening would hear nothing unusual. Victoria opened the door, still in her suit. Hair down now, looked younger, more vulnerable, more human. "You followed me," she said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because they're following you too." Black SUV, 2 occupants, switched to a gray sedan on 8 Mile, professional surveillance. Victoria's face went pale, right now. "Probably watching the hotel, waiting to see if you leave." "So I'm trapped." "For tonight, tomorrow we move, somewhere they can't track." "Where?" "My sister's place, up north, small town, off-grid, they won't find us there." "Us?" "You think I'm letting you out of my sight, after everything?" Victoria smiled, small, tired but real. "Thank you, Jamal." "Don't thank me yet. We've got a long way to go." He moved to the window, checked the street below. The gray sedan was parked across from the hotel entrance. 2 men inside, waiting, patient, professional. "We need to get the evidence out," Victoria said. "Tonight, before they make a move." "Already ahead of you." Jamal pulled out his phone, showed her a contact. "Sarah Rodriguez, investigative journalist, Detroit Free Press. She's good, trustworthy. I'll send her the files. She can verify and publish." "You know a journalist." "I know a lot of people. Navy teaches you to build networks." He typed quickly, attached the files, wrote a brief explanation, hit send. The files disappeared into the digital ether. Multiple copies, multiple recipients, insurance against murder. "Done," he said. "By tomorrow morning this will be front-page news. Ashford won't be able to stop it." Victoria sat on the bed, exhausted, the adrenaline wearing off. What happens now? "Now you rest, I'll watch the door." "You're staying?" "All night, they won't get past me." She wanted to argue, wanted to say it wasn't necessary, but the truth was she felt safer with him there. This stranger who'd saved her life. This mechanic who was more than he seemed. This man who kept his promises even when they cost him everything. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Depends on the question." "Your wife, how did she die?" Jamal was quiet for a long moment, staring at the door, at nothing, at memories that hurt to touch. "Car accident 3 years ago. I was deployed, got the call. By the time I got home, she was already buried. Destiny was 4, too young to understand, old enough to remember." "I'm sorry." "Me too." "Is that why you saved me? Because you couldn't save her?" Jamal looked at Victoria, really looked, saw past the CEO exterior, saw the daughter grieving her father, the mother failing her daughter, the woman drowning in responsibility and fear and loneliness. "Maybe," he said, Or maybe I saved you because it was the right thing to do. Does the reason matter? I guess not. Silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable, just present. Two people in a hotel room, strangers bound by circumstance, by danger, by choices that led them here. Victoria lay down on the bed, fully clothed, exhausted beyond words. Jamal sat in the chair by the door, back straight, eyes on the hallway, alert, awake, on guard. She fell asleep watching him. This man who'd appeared in her life like a miracle. This protector she didn't deserve but desperately needed. Jamal sat awake all night, listening, watching, waiting. The gray sedan stayed in place. The watchers didn't move. Morning came slowly. Sunrise over Detroit, a city waking up. A city that would soon know the truth about Richard Ashford, about corruption, about murder, about a CEO who killed for profit and a daughter who fought for justice. But that was tomorrow's story. Tonight was about survival, about two people choosing to stand together instead of fall separately, about a mechanic and a CEO learning that sometimes the most important battles aren't fought with weapons or money. They're fought with courage, with integrity, with the simple decision to do what's right even when it's hard. Even when it costs everything. Even when the ending isn't guaranteed. They would face what came next together, and that would make all the difference. Dawn broke over Detroit like a promise the city couldn't keep. The sun climbed above the skyline, turned the river copper and gold, painted the Renaissance Center in shades of hope that would fade by noon. In room 1847 of the Westin Hotel, Victoria Hartwell woke to find Jamal Williams still in the chair by the door. Same position, same alertness, as if sleep was optional for men like him. She sat up slowly. Her head ached, the concussion from the crash making itself known. Jamal noticed her movement immediately, turned. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. "Morning," he said, simple, no wasted words. "Did you sleep at all?" "Enough." He was lying, she could tell, but she didn't push. Men like Jamal didn't admit weakness, didn't ask for help. They just endured. It was both admirable and frustrating. Her phone buzzed, text message, unknown number. She opened it. Her blood went cold. Jamal. He was beside her in 2 steps, looked at the screen. A photo, Emily, Victoria's daughter, playing in the yard at her grandmother's house, taken yesterday. The angle was wrong, too high from across the street. Telephoto lens, professional surveillance. Below the photo, a message. Beautiful girl, would be a shame if something happened to her. Victoria's hands shook. The phone fell. Jamal caught it before it hit the floor. Read the message. His jaw tightened. That was his only reaction. No panic, no fear, just cold calculation. "Call your mother," he said. "Tell her to take Emily somewhere public. Mall, museum, somewhere with cameras and crowds. Don't tell her why, just insist." Victoria dialed. Her mother answered on the 3rd ring. "Victoria, it's 7 in the morning. Mom, I need you to take Emily out today. Now, somewhere busy." "What, why?" "Please, just trust me. The Somerset collection. Stay there until I call you back." "Victoria, you're scaring me." "I know, I'm sorry, but please do this for me." A pause, then, "All right, we'll leave in 10 minutes. "Thank you." Victoria hung up, looked at Jamal. "Now what?" "Now we go on offense. Ashford's threatening your daughter. That's a line he shouldn't have crossed." "What can we do? He's too powerful, too connected." Jamal pulled out his phone, made a call. It was answered immediately. "Sarah, it's Jamal. Did you get the files?" A woman's voice, professional, excited. "I did. This is incredible. 85 million in embezzlement. Audio of Ashford threatening Jonathan Hartwell. This is Pulitzer level." "How fast can you publish?" I need 24 hours to verify sources, get legal clearance. This is huge, we can't rush it. You have 6 hours. Jamal, that's impossible. Ashford just threatened a child, an 8-year-old girl. If we don't go public now, he'll escalate. People will die. Silence, then. Give me 3 hours, I'll push it through. But you owe me the exclusive on what happens next. Deal. He hung up, looked at Victoria. The story breaks at 10 a.m. That gives us 3 hours to get somewhere safe. Where? My sister's place. Northern Michigan. Small town called Charlevoix, off the grid. No cell towers for miles, they won't find us there. Victoria stood, still in yesterday's clothes, rumpled, exhausted but determined. Let's go. The escape. They left through the service entrance. Jamal had scoped it during the night. Fire exit to the alley. No cameras, no watchers. The gray sedan was still parked out front. 2 men inside, drinking coffee, waiting. They didn't see Jamal and Victoria slip out the back. Jamal's truck was 3 blocks away. A Ford F-150, 20 years old, dented, primer spotted, but the engine was perfect. He'd rebuilt it himself. 300,000 miles and it ran like new. They got in. He started the engine, pulled out smoothly. No rush, no panic, just a man driving to work at dawn. They made it 2 miles before Victoria's phone rang. Ashford. She showed Jamal the screen. He nodded. She answered, put it on speaker. Victoria. Ashford's voice was smooth as ever. No hint of threat, just concern, fake concern. I heard about your accident, terrible business. Are you recovering? What do you want, Richard? Want? I'm simply checking on our CEO. The board is worried. First your father's accident, now yours. It seems break failure runs in the family. The barely veiled threat hung in the air. Victoria's hand tightened on the phone. Jamal reached over, squeezed her wrist once. Gentle, grounding. She took a breath. I'm fine, Richard. Better than fine, actually. I've had time to think about the company, about my father's work, about the truth. A pause. When Ashford spoke again, the smoothness was gone. What truth would that be? The truth about where $85 million went. The truth about who really destroyed my father's reputation. The truth about murder disguised as mechanical failure. Those are serious accusations, Victoria. Unfounded, dangerous. The kind of accusations that could destroy what's left of your credibility. We'll see about that. The Detroit Free Press is running a story this morning. Full evidence, audio recordings, financial records, everything my father documented before you killed him. Silence long, deadly. When Ashford spoke again, his voice was ice. You've made a terrible mistake. No, Richard, you did, when you threatened my daughter. I don't know what you're talking about. The photo, 30 minutes ago, Emily in my mother's yard, professional surveillance, that was your last mistake. If anything has happened to my granddaughter, Ashford started, then caught himself. Too late. The slip revealed more than he intended. I mean, if someone is threatening Emily, you should call the police. Your granddaughter, Victoria's voice was sharp. What did you just say? The line went dead. Ashford had hung up. Victoria stared at the phone, mind racing, replaying the conversation, the slip. My granddaughter, not your daughter, not the child, my granddaughter. She looked at Jamal. Did you hear that? I heard. He called Emily his granddaughter. Could be a slip of the tongue. Stress makes people say strange things. But Victoria's mind was spinning, connections forming, her father's paranoia in his last months, the locked drawer, the USB drive, the insurance policy. What if it wasn't just about embezzlement? What if there was something else, something deeper? We need to watch that video again, she said. My father's last message. I need to see it. Jamal kept driving, north, out of Detroit, past the suburbs, into farm country, small towns with grain silos and churches and American flags, the America that still believed in handshakes and honest work and justice, or wanted to. They stopped at a rest area, empty except for a trucker sleeping in his cab. Jamal parked far from the building, engine running, eyes on all approaches. Victoria opened her laptop, found the video file. Her father's face filled the screen. She watched it again, not listening to the words this time, watching his eyes, his body language, the way he glanced off camera, the way his hands moved. He was nervous, more than nervous, terrified. "Victoria," her father said on screen, "if you're watching this, I'm likely dead. Ashford discovered I was investigating him." Victoria paused, rewound, played it again. "Ashford discovered I was investigating him, not I discovered Ashford was embezzling." The sentence structure was wrong. It suggested her father was investigating something broader, something that included Ashford but wasn't limited to him. She fast-forwarded to the end. "I'm sorry I wasn't a better father. Sorry I chose work over you and Emily." Another pause, rewind, "You and Emily." He'd said it with weight, emphasis, as if those two names together meant something specific. Victoria's breath caught. "Oh my God." "What?" Jamal leaned closer. "Emily, my daughter. I got pregnant when I was 23 before I married David. The father was. I never told anyone who the father was, said it was a one-night stand. Someone I didn't know, but that was a lie." "Who was it?" Victoria closed her eyes, the memory flooding back. Young, stupid, working at Hartwell Medical as an intern, a company party, too much wine, a man twice her age, charming, powerful, married. She'd thought it meant something. He'd thought it was conquest. "Richard Ashford," she whispered. "Emily's biological father is Richard Ashford." Jamal sat back, processing. Does he know? "I never told him. When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. My father would have been furious. Ashford would have denied it. I got married quickly. To David. Let everyone think Emily was his. Even David didn't know the truth." "But your father figured it out." "He must have, the timing, the genetics. Emily has Ashford's eyes, his bone structure. Dad was brilliant, he would have seen it. And that's why Ashford killed him. Not just for the embezzlement investigation, but because your father knew about Emily." Victoria's hands were shaking. A scandal like that would destroy Ashford. Sleeping with an intern, getting her pregnant. The board would never tolerate it. Shareholders would revolt. He'd lose everything. So he made sure Jonathan couldn't tell anyone. "But Dad left me the evidence anyway. Trusted me to finish what he started." Jamal was quiet, thinking. There's more to this. Ashford didn't just threaten Emily to scare you. He threatened her because she's his biological daughter. He's protecting his secret. If Emily's paternity comes out, it connects him to your father's investigation, gives him motive for murder. "We need a DNA test, proof that Emily is his daughter." "That takes time. Labs, chain of custody, we don't have that." "Then what do we do?" Jamal looked at her. His expression was steady, calm, the face of a man who'd planned operations in war zones, who defused bombs with seconds to spare, who knew how to think under pressure. "We make him confess, on record, in public, somewhere he can't deny it later." "How?" "The shareholders' meeting. It's tomorrow, right? Your father's calendar had it marked." Victoria nodded. "Annual shareholders' meeting. Hundreds of people, press, board members. Ashford gives the financial report." "Perfect. We crash it, confront him with the evidence, force his hand. He'll either confess or do something stupid. Either way, we win." That's insane. Security will throw us out. Ashford will have us arrested. Not if we do it right, not if we have leverage. Jamal pulled out his phone, made another call. Sarah, the story, can you add something for me? The journalist's voice came through. I'm literally hitting publish in 90 minutes. What is it? Victoria Hartwell will be making a statement at the shareholders' meeting tomorrow. Live, in person. She's challenging Ashford directly. You should be there. Are you serious? Completely. This is your exclusive, front row seat to the takedown. I'll be there with cameras. This is incredible. Jamal hung up, looked at Victoria. Now we have press coverage. Ashford can't silence you without looking guilty. He'll still try. Let him try, we'll be ready. The safe house. Charlevoix sat on the shore of Lake Michigan like a postcard from a simpler time. Victorian houses painted in pastels. Marina full of sailboats. Main Street with shops that sold fudge and antiques and optimism. Population 3,000. Crime rate near zero. The kind of place where people still left doors unlocked and trusted their neighbors. Jamal's sister lived on the edge of town. Small ranch house. Neat yard. Swing set in back. Jennifer Williams had been waiting when they arrived. 40 years old. Elementary school teacher. Single mom to 2 boys. She took one look at her brother and knew he was in trouble. Took one look at Victoria and knew it was serious. How long? Jennifer asked. Couple days, maybe less. The girl. Destiny's fine, still with Aunt Marie in Traverse City. And this is. Victoria, she needs help. Jennifer looked Victoria up and down. Expensive clothes, exhausted face, bruises from the crash. She your girlfriend. She's my responsibility. Jennifer smiled, knew her brother better than he knew himself. Right, responsibility, come inside, I'll make coffee. The house was warm, comfortable. Photos on the walls of children and graduations and birthday parties. Normal life, safe life. Everything Jamal had tried to build for Destiny. Everything Victoria had failed to build for Emily. They sat at the kitchen table. Jennifer poured coffee, listened while Jamal explained. Victoria watched the siblings interact, the easy familiarity, the trust. The way Jennifer didn't ask questions she knew Jamal wouldn't answer, just accepted, supported, family. Victoria's phone rang, her mother. She answered quickly. Mom, is everything okay? We're at the mall. Emily wants to know why we left so suddenly. What do I tell her? Tell her I love her, that I'm sorry I haven't been there, that I'm trying to fix things. Victoria, what's going on? I can't explain right now, but I need you to do something. Tomorrow, take Emily to her doctor. Get a DNA sample, cheek swab. Tell them it's for a genetic screening, medical records. Why on earth would we need that? Please, Mom, just trust me, it's important. A long pause. All right, but you owe me an explanation. I know soon, I promise. She hung up. Jamal was watching her. You're really doing this. Emily deserves to know the truth. About her real father, about why her grandfather died, about all of it. The truth can hurt. Lies hurt more. I've been lying to her for 8 years. Time to stop. Jennifer set down coffee mugs. You two need rest. Guest room is upstairs. Bathroom has clean towels. I have to take my boys to school, but I'll be back by noon. Thank you, Victoria said, for helping us. Jennifer looked at her brother. Jamal doesn't ask for help often. When he does, it matters. Whatever you're running from, you've got family now. Remember that. She left. The house was quiet. Jamal stood. You should sleep, real sleep, in a bed. I'll keep watch. You need sleep too. I'm fine. Jamal, Victoria stood, walked to him, close enough to see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight he carried. You saved my life twice now. Let me do something for you. Let me take a watch shift. You sleep. 4 hours, then we switch. He wanted to argue, she could see it, but his body betrayed him, swayed slightly. 3 days of no sleep catching up. 4 hours, he said finally. Then you wake me. Deal. He went to the couch, lay down, was asleep in 30 seconds, the deep sleep of soldiers who have learned to take rest when it comes. Victoria sat in the chair by the window, watched the street, watched him sleep. This man who'd become her protector, her partner, maybe something more. She didn't let herself think about that. Not yet. Too much at stake. Too many unknowns. But sitting there in the quiet morning light, watching Jamal breathe, feeling safe for the first time in weeks, she allowed herself a moment of hope. Maybe they could win this. Maybe justice was possible. Maybe broken people could heal each other. Maybe. The article drops. At 10 a.m., the Detroit Free Press website crashed. Too much traffic, too many people trying to read the story. CEO embezzles millions, murders founder. The headline was everywhere within minutes. Twitter, Facebook, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the story had everything. Corporate greed, murder, conspiracy, an innocent daughter fighting for justice. Victoria read it on her laptop. Sarah Rodriguez had done excellent work, every detail verified, every source confirmed, the audio recordings embedded, the financial documents scanned, Jonathan Hartwell's video played in full, $85 million stolen, a father killed to hide the truth, a company corrupted from within. The reaction was immediate. Hartwell Medical's stock price crashed, down 40% in the first hour of trading. The board issued a statement. We are shocked and appalled by these allegations. We are launching an immediate internal investigation. Translation, we're protecting ourselves. Ashford's on his own. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She debated answering, then decided to put it on speaker. Victoria Hartwell. Ms. Hartwell, this is Special Agent Marcus Webb, FBI, Detroit Field Office. I've read the Free Press article. I need to speak with you, today, about your allegations against Richard Ashford. Victoria looked at Jamal. He nodded. Where and when? She asked. Our office, downtown. Can you come in at 2 p.m.? I'll be there. She hung up. Jamal was already on his feet. FBI moves fast when there's publicity. They'll want to get ahead of this. Is that good or bad? Good means they're taking it seriously. Bad means Ashford knows he's running out of time. Desperate men do desperate things. As if on cue, Victoria's phone buzzed. Text message. From Ashford's personal number. 3 words. We need to talk. Victoria showed Jamal. He read it. Trap. Obviously, but what if he's ready to confess? What if the pressure is too much? Men like Ashford don't confess. They fight until they can't fight anymore. Then what does he want? To locate you, to buy time, to make a deal. Victoria thought about it, about the man who'd killed her father, who'd threatened her daughter, who'd destroyed lives for profit. Part of her wanted to ignore him, let him burn. But another part, the part that had loved him once, wanted to hear what he had to say. She typed back, where? The response came immediately. Hart Plaza, noon, come alone. Jamal shook his head. Absolutely not. I won't be alone, you'll be there, watching. Victoria. He's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. Maybe he'll say something incriminating, something we can use tomorrow at the shareholders' meeting. Or maybe he'll have a sniper in one of the buildings. Maybe this is his last play, take you out. Claim grief drove you to suicide, clean up the mess. You really think he'd do that? In public, in broad daylight? Jamal's expression was grim. I've seen worse. War teaches you that people are capable of anything when survival is at stake. So what do? We go, but we control the environment. I get there first, scope it out, position myself with a clear line of sight. You wear a wire, record everything he says, and at the first sign of trouble you run. Don't look back, just run. Victoria nodded. Okay, your way. Hart Plaza. The plaza sat on the Detroit River, open space, concrete and grass, fountains that ran in summer and froze in winter, view of Canada across the water. People came here for festivals, concerts, free Wi-Fi and food trucks. Today it was almost empty, cold wind off the lake, gray sky threatening rain. Jamal arrived at 11:30, scanned the area, 3 exits, multiple sight lines, too many buildings overlooking the plaza, sniper's paradise. He didn't like it, didn't like any of it, but Victoria was determined. And sometimes you had to let people make their own choices, even bad ones. He positioned himself near the fountain, jacket concealing the small recording device he'd wired to Victoria's collar, phone in hand, speed dial ready. If anything went wrong, he'd have Detroit PD there in 90 seconds. Victoria arrived at 11:58, 2 minutes early, wearing jeans and a jacket, trying to look casual, failing. She was too tense, too aware. Jamal could see it from 50 yards away. Anyone watching would see it too. Ashford arrived exactly at noon. Black town car, driver, security, 2 large men in suits who stayed by the car. Ashford walked alone, hands in pockets, confident as if this was his city, his plaza, his world. He saw Victoria, smiled, the smile of a man who still thought he could win. They met by the fountain, far enough from Jamal that he couldn't hear, but the wire would catch everything. He watched, waited, ready. The confrontation. Victoria, Ashford's voice was warm, fatherly. Thank you for coming. Cut the act, Richard. What do you want? I want what's best for everyone, for the company, for you, for Emily. The name hit like a slap. Victoria's jaw tightened. Leave my daughter out of this. Our daughter, you mean? Victoria's breath caught. He knew, had known all along. You have no right. I have every right. I'm her father, biologically speaking. You're a sperm donor, nothing more. You've never been there for her, never cared. That's not fair. I didn't know. You never told me. Because you were married, because you were my father's friend, because it was wrong. Ashford's smile faded. Your father figured it out. Did you know that? About 3 months ago. Ran a DNA test using Emily's medical records, confronted me, threatened to expose everything if I didn't resign. So you killed him. I protected my family, my real family, my wife, my children. They didn't deserve the scandal. And my father, he didn't deserve to live. Your father was going to destroy everything. The company, my reputation, my marriage, over what? A mistake I made 8 years ago. That's not justice, that's revenge. You embezzled $85 million. I borrowed it, temporarily, to cover losses from the cardiac valve project. I would have paid it back. You're delusional. Ashford stepped closer. Victoria held her ground. I'm pragmatic. Your father was idealistic. Thought science and morality mattered more than profit. That's why he failed. That's why the company was dying under his leadership. The company was thriving. The company was bleeding money on a project that would never work. Those cardiac valves, faulty design, they'd have killed patients. I saved lives by shutting down that project. You're lying. I'm telling you the truth. Something your father never did. He lied to you about the company, about me, about everything. And now you're repeating his mistakes." Victoria's hands were fists. "What do you want, Richard?" "I want you to drop this. Tell the FBI it was a misunderstanding, that you were grief-stricken, not thinking clearly. I'll resign quietly, sell my shares, disappear. You keep the company, run it however you want. We both walk away." "And Emily?" "I'll sign away parental rights. Legally, permanently. You never have to tell her the truth. She can live her life thinking David was her father. Clean, simple." "What about the people you hurt? The money you stole, my father's murder?" "Your father's death was an accident. The brakes failed. Tragic, but an accident, and the money will be returned. Anonymously, no one gets hurt." Victoria laughed, cold, bitter. "You really think I'd take that deal?" "I think you're smart enough to know when you're beaten. You have the moral high ground. I'll give you that, but I have resources, lawyers, connections. I can drag this out for years, destroy you in the process. Or you can take the win, save yourself, save Emily, move on." "That's not a win, that's surrender. That's survival, something your father never understood." Victoria looked at him, really looked, saw the man she'd thought she knew. Charming, powerful, brilliant, and underneath all of it empty, hollowed out by greed and fear and the desperate need to maintain an image that was never real. "No," she said simply. "No. No deal, no compromise, no mercy. You killed my father, you threatened my daughter, you corrupted everything he built. I'm going to watch you burn, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who you are." Ashford's face darkened, the mask slipping. "You're making a mistake." "The only mistake I made was coming here, thinking you might have a shred of decency left." "Victoria, we're done." She turned to walk away. Ashford grabbed her arm, hard, painful. "You think you can just walk away after accusing me of murder, destroying my reputation? You've started a war, and wars have casualties." Jamal was moving, fast, crossing the distance, but Victoria didn't wait. She twisted. The self-defense class she'd taken after the divorce coming back. Broke Ashford's grip, stepped back. "Touch me again, and I'll have you arrested for assault." Ashford's security was approaching. Jamal intercepted them, stood between them and Victoria, arms loose, ready. The security men sized him up, saw something in his stance, something that said professional. They stopped. Ashford looked at Jamal, recognition dawning. "The mechanic, you've been helping her." Jamal didn't respond, just stood there, protective, alert. "You're in over your head, son. This is corporate warfare, not some street fight." Jamal's voice was quiet, controlled. "I've fought in actual wars. This is just business, and business doesn't scare me." "Everything scares someone. Everyone has a weakness. A daughter, perhaps. Destiny, isn't it? Pretty name, pretty girl." Jamal moved. One step, fast, closed the distance to Ashford. Didn't touch him, didn't have to. The threat was clear. "You go near my daughter, you even think about my daughter, and I will end you. Not legally, not publicly. I will end you. Do you understand?" Ashford paled, took a step back. For the first time, genuine fear in his eyes. "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise. I've made promises before, I keep them." Victoria touched Jamal's arm, gentle. "Let's go." Jamal held Ashford's gaze for another second, then turned, walked away with Victoria. The security men parted, let them pass. They knew better than to escalate. At the car, Victoria was shaking. Adrenaline, fear, relief. He knew about Destiny. How did he know? Doesn't matter. He knows now that she's off limits. "You shouldn't have threatened him. He could use that against you." "Let him try." Victoria looked at Jamal, saw the soldier underneath the mechanic. The man who'd killed in combat, who defused bombs and led teams and made hard choices. The man who was now protecting her with the same intensity he'd once used to protect his country. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For being here, for believing me, for risking everything to help someone you barely know." Jamal looked at her. Something shifted in his expression, softened. "You're not just someone I barely know anymore." "What am I?" He didn't answer, just opened the car door. "We should go, FBI meeting in 2 hours." Victoria got in, but her mind was racing. Not about Ashford, not about the FBI, about Jamal, about the way he looked at her, about the way she felt when he was near, about possibility and danger and the complicated truth that sometimes the worst circumstances bring the best people together. The FBI. Special Agent Marcus Webb was exactly what Victoria expected. Mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes, 20 years in law enforcement written in the set of his shoulders and the way he assessed every person who entered his office. He shook hands with Victoria and Jamal, gestured to chairs, sat behind his desk. "Thank you for coming in. I've reviewed the evidence you provided to the Detroit Free Press. It's compelling, but I need to verify everything independently. Walk me through it from the beginning." Victoria did, starting with her father's death, the suspicious brake failure, the USB drive, the password, the files, Ashford's confession at Hart Plaza recorded on the wire she wore, everything. Webb listened, took notes, asked clarifying questions, professional, thorough. When she finished, he leaned back. "This is good, very good, but it's not enough for an arrest warrant. Not yet. The embezzlement is clear, we can get him on that. But the murder charge, that's harder. Mechanical tampering is difficult to prove months after the fact. The car was totaled, evidence destroyed." "What about the recording from today?" He admitted it. He admitted protecting his family. He admitted shutting down a project. He didn't explicitly say, "I killed Jonathan Hartwell." A good lawyer will argue that was metaphorical, emotional, not literal confession. Victoria's heart sank. "So he gets away with murder?" "Not necessarily. We keep investigating. Interview mechanics who serviced your father's car. Check phone records, financial transactions around the time of his death. Build a circumstantial case. It takes time." "We don't have time. The shareholders' meeting is tomorrow. Ashford will spin this. Discredit me, disappear the evidence." Webb nodded. "Which is why I'm assigning protective custody for you and your daughter until we have Ashford in custody." "No," Victoria stood. "I'm not hiding. I'm going to that meeting. I'm going to face him publicly, make him answer for what he did." "Ms. Hartwell, that's not advisable. Ashford is dangerous, desperate. He could do a lot of things, but he won't. Not with cameras there, not with witnesses, not when the whole world is watching." Webb looked at Jamal. "Talk some sense into her." Jamal shrugged. "She's right. Public confrontation is safer than private protection. Ashford can't make her disappear if everyone knows where she is." "You're both insane." "Maybe, but we're committed." Webb sighed, rubbed his face. "Fine, but I'm sending agents to the meeting, plainclothes. They'll be ready to intervene if things go sideways." "Thank you," Victoria said. "Don't thank me yet. If this goes wrong, people die, and I have to write the reports." They left the FBI building. The sun was setting. Detroit looked almost beautiful in the golden hour light, almost like a city that kept its promises. Jamal drove. Neither spoke for several minutes. Finally, Victoria said, "Do you think we can win?" "Win what? The meeting, the case, the war?" "All of it." Jamal was quiet, thinking. "I think we can survive. Beyond that, it's up to forces bigger than us. justice, luck, timing. The things soldiers pray for but can't control. Did you pray in the war? Every day, every mission, every bomb I tried to defuse. Did it help? I'm still alive, so maybe. Victoria smiled, small, tired. I'm not religious, haven't been since I was a kid, but tonight I might pray for Emily, for us, for tomorrow. Can't hurt. They drove back to Charlevoix, to Jennifer's house, to safety and rest and the nervous anticipation of what came next. Tomorrow would decide everything. Tomorrow, Victoria would face her father's killer in front of the world. Tomorrow, Jamal would keep his promise to protect her no matter what. Tomorrow, the truth would either set them free or destroy them both. But tonight they were alive together, and that was enough. The night before, Jennifer made dinner, pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, comfort food. The kind that reminded you that the world still had good things in it. They ate at the kitchen table, made small talk, avoided the elephant in the room. After dinner, Jennifer's boys went to bed. She excused herself, left Jamal and Victoria alone. They sat on the porch, cold November air, stars above, Lake Michigan somewhere in the darkness. The quiet was heavy but not uncomfortable. "Tell me about your wife," Victoria said, "if you want to." Jamal was silent for a long time. Victoria wondered if she'd pushed too far, crossed a line, but then he spoke. "Sarah, she was light, that's the best way I can describe her. I was all darkness and discipline and rigid control. Military training does that, teaches you to be hard, to not feel. She was the opposite, she felt everything. Laughed at stupid jokes, cried at commercials, made friends with strangers in grocery store lines." Victoria listened. This was different from what he'd told her before, not about how Sarah died, about who she was, who they were together. "She balanced me out," Jamal continued. "When I came home from deployment wound up tight, she'd sit me down, make me tea, not say anything, just be there, until I could breathe again, until I could remember I was human and not just a soldier." "She sounds wonderful." She was. She saw good in everyone, even me, especially me, when I didn't deserve it. "How did you meet?" "Military hospital. I was recovering from surgery, shrapnel wound. She was my nurse, changed my bandages, made jokes about my terrible hospital gown. I fell in love with her laugh before I even saw her face properly." Victoria smiled. "That's beautiful." "We got married too fast. Everyone said so. 6 months after we met. But when you've been to war, you learn not to wait. Life's too short. Tomorrow's not guaranteed." "Do you regret it, marrying her so fast?" "Never, not for 1 second. I regret being deployed so much. I regret not being there when she needed me, but I don't regret loving her, or the time we had, or destiny." They sat in silence, Victoria processing, understanding him better now. The guilt he carried wasn't just about Sarah's death. It was about all the moments he'd missed, all the times duty pulled him away from the person who made him whole. "What about you?" Jamal asked. "David, your ex-husband, what was that about?" Victoria laughed, bitter. "A mistake. A cover story that became a marriage. I was pregnant with Emily, terrified, ashamed. David was safe, boring, available. He thought Emily was his. I let him think that. Built a whole life on a lie." "Did you love him?" "I tried to. He was a good man, kind, patient. But you can't build a real marriage on a foundation of lies. He felt it, the distance, the secrets. We divorced when Emily was 3. He sees her sometimes, sends birthday cards, but he's not her father, not really. And she knows it even if she doesn't say it." "And Ashford?" "Was a fantasy. A powerful older man who paid attention to me. I was 23, stupid. Thought it meant something. It didn't. To him, I was just another conquest, another intern to add to his list. That's not on you. He was the adult, the one in power. He took advantage. Victoria looked at him, surprised. Most men wouldn't see it that way. Most men are wrong. Power dynamics matter. Age matters. Experience matters. He knew what he was doing. You were just trying to survive. Something in Victoria's chest loosened. A knot she'd carried for 8 years. The shame, the guilt, the belief that it was somehow her fault. Hearing Jamal say it wasn't, believing him, changed something fundamental. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For seeing me. Not the CEO, not the scandal, just me. The person underneath all the mess." Jamal reached out, took her hand. The gesture was simple, but it meant everything. Connection, understanding. Two broken people holding onto each other in the dark. "Tomorrow," he said, "you get a chance to make it right, to fight for Emily, for your father, for the truth. That's more than most people get." "What if I fail?" "Then you fail fighting. That's all any of us can do." Victoria squeezed his hand. "What happens after tomorrow if we win? If Ashford goes to prison? If the company is saved?" "I go back to my garage. You go back to your boardroom. We go back to our lives." "Is that what you want?" Jamal looked at her, really looked. In the starlight, her face was beautiful, vulnerable, strong. Everything he'd been trying not to notice for 3 days. Everything he couldn't ignore anymore. "No," he said quietly, "that's not what I want." "Then what do you want?" He didn't answer with words. He leaned in, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their lips met, soft, tentative, a question asked and answered. The kiss lasted 3 seconds, maybe 4. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "I'm sorry," Jamal said. "I shouldn't have." "Don't apologize. I wanted you to." They sat in silence, hands still linked. The weight of what just happened settling between them, complicated, dangerous, real. "After tomorrow," Victoria said, "we figure this out. Whatever this is, we figure it out together." Together. They went inside, to separate rooms, but both lay awake, thinking about tomorrow, about justice and danger and possibility, about what came next, about each other. Tomorrow would change everything. But tonight, they had hope. And for two people who'd lost so much, hope was a miracle worth holding on to. Dawn came to Detroit like a held breath finally released. The sky was clear, cold. November sun cutting through the Renaissance Center's glass walls, turning the building into a cathedral of light and steel. Inside, on the 45th floor, the Hartwell Medical Technologies boardroom was being prepared for the annual shareholders' meeting. Chairs in rows, microphones tested, cameras positioned, the stage set for either triumph or tragedy. Victoria Hartwell stood in the parking garage 3 blocks away, Jamal beside her. Both wore suits. Victoria's was charcoal gray, professional, armor. Jamal's was navy blue, the first suit he'd owned since leaving the service. It fit him like memory, shoulders back, spine straight, a soldier preparing for battle. "You ready?" he asked. Victoria looked at him, this man who'd saved her life twice, who'd believed her when no one else would, who'd kissed her last night like she was worth protecting, worth loving, worth everything. "No," she said honestly, "but I'm going anyway." That's courage, doing it even when you're scared. Is that what they taught you in the Navy? That's what Sarah taught me, my wife. She was terrified of flying, but she got on planes anyway. Said fear was just information, not a command. Victoria smiled, small, nervous. "I like that. Fear is information." "What's your fear telling you?" "That Ashford won't go down easy, that people might get hurt, that I might fail." "And what are you going to do with that information?" Ignore it and do what's right anyway. Jamal nodded, approval in his eyes. Let's go. They walked 3 blocks, past early morning workers drinking coffee, past homeless men sleeping in doorways, past the Detroit that existed beneath the corporate towers and political speeches. The real city, the one that kept grinding forward no matter how many times it got knocked down. The Renaissance Center lobby was already filling. Shareholders, press, security, FBI agents in plainclothes that Jamal spotted immediately, 3 by the elevators, 2 near the exits, 1 pretending to read a newspaper, professional, but not invisible, not to someone trained to see. Victoria checked in at the reception desk. The assistant's eyes widened. "Ms. Hartwell, we, weren't expecting you to attend." Why wouldn't I attend my own company's shareholders meeting? After the article, after the allegations, Mr. Ashford said you were, quote, emotionally unstable and taking time off. Mr. Ashford says a lot of things. Most of them are lies. The assistant looked uncertain, glanced at a security guard. The guard stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Jamal moved, subtle, positioned himself between Victoria and the guard, didn't say anything, didn't have to. The guard saw his stance, saw the calm in his eyes, saw someone who'd done violence and would do it again if necessary. The guard stepped back. "On whose authority?" Victoria asked. "Mr. Ashford's. He's interim CEO pending the board investigation." "Interim CEO doesn't override actual CEO, which is me, last time I checked." A voice from behind, "Not for long." Ashford coming out of the elevator, surrounded by lawyers, 3 of them expensive suits, shark eyes. He looked tired, older than 3 days ago, the pressure showing, but still confident, still smiling. "Victoria, I'm surprised you showed your face, after making such serious accusations, false accusations." "We'll see how false they are. The meeting starts in 20 minutes. I assume you'll be presenting the financial report." "I will, and I'll be addressing your, shall we say, imaginative claims about embezzlement and murder, with facts, with evidence, with truth." "Good, I look forward to it." They stared at each other. CEO and CFO, daughter and father's killer. 2 people who'd once worked together now preparing to destroy each other in front of 300 witnesses. Ashford's eyes shifted to Jamal. Mr. Williams, the mechanic, still playing bodyguard. Still keeping promises. Noble, misguided, but noble. Ashford turned to his lawyers. "Make sure security knows. If there's any disruption during my presentation, remove Ms. Hartwell immediately. Escort her from the building. File trespassing charges if necessary." One of the lawyers nodded, spoke into a phone. Ashford smiled at Victoria one more time, then walked toward the boardroom, his entourage following, leaving Victoria and Jamal in the lobby. "He's ready for us," Victoria said. "So are we." "What if his evidence is better than ours?" "It won't be. Truth has a way of cutting through lies, even expensive lies told by expensive lawyers." Victoria wanted to believe him, wanted to have his certainty, his faith, but doubt gnawed at her. Ashford was smart, ruthless. He wouldn't walk into this meeting without a plan, without ammunition, without something that could turn the tide. The elevator doors opened. Sarah Rodriguez stepped out, the journalist. Camera crew behind her. She saw Victoria, walked over, extended her hand. "Ms. Hartwell, Sarah Rodriguez, Detroit Free Press, thank you for the exclusive. Thank you for running the story. Are you ready for this? Ashford's team has been calling me all morning, threatening lawsuits, claiming the story was defamatory. They're scared." "Good, they should be." Sarah looked at Jamal. Recognition flickered. I know you, Jamal Williams, you called me, sent me the files. Guilty. You're a hero, you know that. I'm just a mechanic who keeps his promises. Sarah smiled, saw through him, saw what Victoria saw, the warrior underneath the humble exterior. Well, Mr. Mechanic, you just brought down one of the most powerful men in Detroit. That's not nothing. The elevator chimed. More people arriving, shareholders, board members, employees. The room was filling. The clock was ticking. In 15 minutes, the meeting would start. In 15 minutes, everything would be decided. Victoria looked at Jamal. Whatever happens in there, thank you for everything. It's not over yet. I know, but just in case, thank you. He took her hand, squeezed once. We finish this together. They walked toward the boardroom, side by side, into the storm. The shareholders' meeting. The boardroom was packed, every seat filled, standing room only in the back. The energy was electric. Anticipation mixed with scandal, mixed with the voyeuristic thrill of watching powerful people destroy each other. This wasn't just a shareholders' meeting. It was a spectacle, a trial by public opinion. Blood sport for the corporate class. Victoria and Jamal found seats in the third row, close enough to see, far enough to avoid immediate confrontation. Sarah Rodriguez and her camera crew set up on the side. Other journalists too. CNN, Bloomberg, local news. Everyone wanted the story. Everyone wanted the moment when truth met lies head-on. The board members filed in, 10 of them. Men and women in expensive suits carrying expensive briefcases. They took their seats at the long table at the front. Ashford sat in the center. CEO chair. Jonathan Hartwell's old chair. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. The board chairman, Gerald Foster, 70 years old, called the meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the Hartwell Medical Technologies annual shareholders meeting. We have a full agenda today. But first, I want to address the elephant in the room. The allegations made in yesterday's Detroit Free Press article. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Foster raised his hand for silence. These are serious accusations. Embezzlement, corporate fraud, and most disturbing, the suggestion that our former CEO Jonathan Hartwell's death was not accidental. The board takes these allegations very seriously. We have launched a full internal investigation. We have contacted federal authorities, and we have retained outside counsel to ensure complete transparency. More murmurs. Foster continued. However, we must also be careful not to rush to judgment. Richard Ashford has served this company with distinction for 20 years. He deserves the presumption of innocence. He deserves the opportunity to respond. Richard, the floor is yours. Ashford stood, walked to the podium, adjusted the microphone, looked out at the crowd. His expression was calm, confident, the face of a man who knew he held winning cards. Thank you, Gerald, and thank you all for being here. I know many of you are concerned, confused, angry. You've read terrible things about me, about this company, about the legacy of Jonathan Hartwell. I understand. If I were you, I'd be angry too. He paused, let the moment breathe. Professional speaker, knew how to work a room. But I'm here to tell you the truth. The real truth. Not the sensationalized version printed in newspapers desperate for clicks. Not the conspiracy theories of a grieving daughter who, understandably, is looking for someone to blame for her father's death. Victoria's hands clenched. Jamal put his hand over hers, steady, grounding. Ashford continued. Yes, there were financial irregularities, I won't deny that. Jonathan, in his final months, made some questionable decisions. Unauthorized R&D spending, risky investments. When I discovered these issues, I tried to correct them. I tried to save this company from his mistakes. But Jonathan, God rest his soul, was stubborn, proud. He refused to listen. The crowd was listening, some nodding. Ashford was good, painting himself as the hero, Jonathan as the villain, twisting truth into fiction with surgical precision. The $85 million mentioned in the article, that money was used to cover losses from Jonathan's failed cardiac valve project, a project that would have bankrupted us. A project that, according to our own engineers, would have produced faulty equipment that could have killed patients. I stopped that project. I saved lives. I saved this company. More nods. Ashford was winning. Victoria could feel it. The room shifting, doubt creeping in. Maybe the article was wrong. Maybe Victoria was the unstable one. Maybe Ashford was innocent. As for Jonathan's death, tragic, heartbreaking, but an accident, the police investigated. They found brake failure due to age and wear. No evidence of tampering, no evidence of foul play. Victoria's accusations are based on grief, not facts. And I sympathize, I truly do. Losing a parent is devastating, but grief cannot become an excuse to destroy innocent people. He looked directly at Victoria. I forgive you, Victoria. I know you're hurting. I know you want answers, but destroying me won't bring your father back. It will only destroy this company, destroy 800 jobs, destroy the legacy Jonathan built. Silence, heavy, uncomfortable, the room waiting to see what would happen next. Ashford returned to his seat, triumphant. He'd done it, turned the narrative, made himself the victim, made Victoria the villain. Foster cleared his throat. Thank you, Richard. Does anyone have questions or comments before we move to the financial report? Victoria stood, every eye turned to her, cameras swiveled, microphones aimed. This was the moment, the showdown everyone had been waiting for. I have a comment. Foster hesitated. Ms. Hartwell, I'm not sure this is the appropriate forum for. This is exactly the appropriate forum. These are our shareholders, our employees, our stakeholders. They deserve to hear the truth, all of it. Victoria, please sit down. You're making a scene. Good, it's time for a scene. She walked to the front. Ashford watched her, still confident, but something flickered in his eyes, uncertainty, fear. He didn't know what she had, what card she was about to play. Victoria stood at the podium, looked out at 300 faces, took a breath. This was it, the moment that would define everything. She could back down, apologize, slink away, let Ashford win, save herself, or she could fight, even if it cost her everything. She chose fight. The truth comes out. My father didn't make mistakes, Victoria began. Her voice was steady, clear. He made choices, difficult choices, moral choices, choices that put people before profit, and those choices got him killed. Murmurs, whispers. Ashford stood. This is slander, I demand. Sit down, Richard, I'm not finished. The force in her voice surprised everyone, including herself. Ashford hesitated, then sat. The power dynamic had shifted, subtly, but definitely. Victoria continued. Richard told you about the cardiac valve project. He said it was faulty, that it would have killed patients. That's a lie. I have the engineering reports, all of them. The valves worked. They passed every test. They would have saved thousands of lives, but they were expensive to produce. They would have cut into profit margins. So Richard shut them down, not to save lives, to save money. She pulled out a folder, handed copies to the board members. These are the test results, the FDA approval documents, the projections showing that those valves would have generated massive revenue within 5 years. Richard killed that project because he wanted short-term gains. He wanted his quarterly bonus. He wanted to look good to shareholders. So he lied, to you, to my father, to everyone. The board members were reading, faces grave. Foster looked at Ashford. Richard, is this true? Those documents are out of context. The engineering wasn't complete. the liability risks were. The engineering was complete, Victoria interrupted. My father dedicated 3 years to that project. He believed in it. He fought for it. And when Richard tried to shut it down, my father started investigating why. That's when he found the embezzlement. She pulled out more papers. $85 million transferred to offshore accounts, all authorized by Richard Ashford's digital signature. He wasn't covering my father's mistakes. He was covering his own theft. And when my father discovered it, when he confronted Richard, he became a liability, a threat, someone who had to be eliminated. Ashford was on his feet. This is absurd. Jonathan died in a car accident. The police investigated a traffic accident. They didn't investigate a murder because they had no reason to suspect murder until now. Victoria looked at Jamal. He stood, walked to the front, handed her an envelope. Victoria opened it, pulled out a document, held it up. This is a forensic analysis of my father's car, conducted by an independent automotive expert, a former Navy explosives ordnance disposal technician, someone who knows how to recognize sabotage. Jamal's voice cut through the room, deep, authoritative. The brake lines on Jonathan Hartwell's vehicle were cut, partially, precisely, designed to fail after approximately 50 miles of driving. This wasn't wear and tear. This wasn't an accident. This was premeditated murder. He pulled out photographs, enlarged, clear, technical. These are images from the accident investigator's file before the vehicle was scrapped. You can see the cut marks here, clean edges, specific angle. This was done with a blade, not corrosion, not age. This was deliberate. He placed another photo on the projector, side-by-side comparison. Here's Victoria's vehicle from 3 days ago, same method, same precision, same cut pattern. Whoever did this to Jonathan Hartwell tried to do it to his daughter. Same killer, same technique. Gasps, whispers, Ashford's face went pale. You can't prove that. The car was destroyed. Evidence is gone. The original car was destroyed, Jamal agreed. But forensic photography doesn't lie, and the pattern is unmistakable. I've seen this kind of sabotage before. In war zones, it's professional work, requires specific knowledge. Most civilians wouldn't know how to do this, but someone with access to skilled mechanics would, someone who could pay for that expertise. Victoria stepped forward. You tried to kill me too, Richard. Cut my brakes the same way you cut my father's, but I got lucky. I found a mechanic who knew what to look for, who saved my life, who helped me find the truth. She looked at the crowd, at the cameras, at the shareholders who were watching their company implode in real time. I know this is hard to hear. I know it's easier to believe Richard, to think I'm just a grieving daughter making wild accusations. But I have proof. Audio recordings of Richard threatening my father, financial documents showing the embezzlement, forensic evidence of brake tampering on 2 vehicles, witness testimony from the mechanic who was paid to do the sabotage. Victoria pulled out her phone, connected it to the projector. And I have this, my father's last message, recorded 2 days before he died, in his own words, explaining what he discovered and who he feared would kill him. She pressed play. Jonathan Hartwell's face appeared on the screen. The room went silent, every eye fixed on the man who'd built this company from nothing, the man who'd been murdered for trying to do the right thing. Victoria, Jonathan's voice came through the speakers, clear, strong despite the fear in his eyes. If you're watching this, I'm likely dead. Richard Ashford discovered I was investigating him, not just for the embezzlement, for something deeper, something that connects him to you in ways I never imagined. He paused, collected himself. 3 months ago, I ran a DNA test on Emily. I'd suspected for years, but I needed proof. Richard Ashford is Emily's biological father. He slept with you when you were an intern, 23 years old. He was 40, married, your superior. It was abuse of power. And when you got pregnant, he did nothing, said nothing, let you suffer alone. Gasps from the crowd. Victoria's hands shook. Her father had known, had documented it, had protected her even after death. Jonathan continued. I confronted him, told him I was going to expose everything. The embezzlement, the affair, the child. He begged me not to, said it would destroy his family. I told him he should have thought about that before he stole from this company and took advantage of my daughter. The video showed Jonathan's eyes filling with tears. If something happens to me, Victoria, finish this, expose him. Not for revenge, for justice, for Emily, for all the people he's hurt. And know that I love you, I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry I wasn't the father you deserved, but I'm trying to be now, even if I'm not here to see it. The video ended. Silence, complete, total. The kind of silence that comes before thunder, before the sky opens and everything changes. Foster found his voice. These are, very serious allegations. We need to, review this evidence. Consult with legal counsel. This meeting is not over. A new voice, from the back of the room. Special Agent Marcus Webb, FBI, walking down the aisle. Badge held high. 2 other agents behind him. Richard Ashford, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, and 2 counts of attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Ashford backed away. You can't do this. I have rights. I have lawyers. Your lawyers can meet you at the federal courthouse. Right now, you're coming with us. On what evidence? You have nothing. This is all circumstantial, hearsay. Webb pulled out his own folder. Thick. Official. We have bank records showing wire transfers from Hartwell Medical to your personal accounts. We have the audio recording of you threatening Victoria Hartwell at Hart Plaza. We have forensic evidence of brake tampering on 2 vehicles. We have engineering reports proving you lied about the cardiac valve project. And as of 6 a.m. this morning, we have a signed confession. A confession from who? From Michael Torres, the mechanic you paid $15,000 to cut Jonathan Hartwell's brake lines. He's been cooperating with us for 36 hours. In exchange for immunity, he's given us everything. Dates, times, payment records, your exact instructions, text messages, bank transfers, all of it. Ashford's face crumbled, the confidence gone, the mask shattered. That's impossible. He wouldn't. We had a deal. Deals end when the FBI offers a better one. 20 years versus immunity. Easy choice. Webb nodded to his agents. Cuff him. The agents moved in. Handcuffs. Miranda rights. Ashford struggling, protesting, claiming innocence even as the evidence buried him. The shareholders watched in stunned silence. Cameras captured every second. The mighty fallen, justice for once swift and public. As they led Ashford toward the exit, he looked at Victoria. Hate in his eyes, pure, undiluted. You've destroyed everything, the company, your reputation, your future. For what? Revenge. Victoria walked up to him, close, eye to eye. Not revenge, justice. There's a difference. My father taught me that. Ashford laughed, bitter, broken. Your father was a fool, and so are you. You think you've won? This company is finished. The stock will crater. Lawsuits will bury you. You've killed Hartwell Medical just to take me down. Then I'll rebuild it, the right way. My father's way, with integrity, with purpose, with the belief that some things matter more than money. Ashford spat at her feet. The agents pulled him away, dragged him out. The doors closed. He was gone. And for the first time in 8 weeks, Victoria felt like she could breathe. The room erupted. Shareholders demanding answers. Board members in heated discussion. Journalists shouting questions. Chaos. Beautiful chaos. The chaos that comes when truth destroys carefully constructed lies. Jamal appeared beside Victoria. You did it. We did it. How do you feel? Victoria looked around, at the wreckage of everything her father built, at the uncertainty of what came next, at the cameras and questions and impossible task of putting it all back together. Terrified, she admitted, and free. Is that normal? Perfectly normal. Now come on. Let's get you out of here before they tear you apart with questions. He took her hand, led her through the crowd, out the side door, down the emergency stairs, away from the circus, into the cold November air. They stood on the street, traffic passing, people walking, the world continuing like nothing had happened, like everything hadn't just changed. Victoria's phone buzzed. Her mother, she answered. Mom. Victoria, I'm watching the news. They're saying Ashford was arrested. Is it true? It's true. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. About your father, about everything. Mom, I need to talk to Emily. Is she there? She's right here. Hold on. A pause, then a small voice, tentative, Mommy. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Hi, baby. Are you okay? Grandma said bad things were happening. I'm okay, better than okay, and I'm coming to see you today right now. We need to talk about a lot of things. About why you've been gone. Yes, and about your grandfather, and about how much I love you, and how sorry I am. I love you too, Mommy. The simple words broke something in Victoria. The wall she'd built, the armor she'd worn, it all came crashing down. She was crying in public, on a Detroit street corner, and she didn't care. I'll be there in an hour, she managed. Wait for me. I'll wait. Victoria hung up, wiped her eyes, looked at Jamal through the tears. I'm a mess. You're human, there's a difference. Come with me to see Emily. I want her to meet you. You sure that's a big step? I'm sure you're part of this now, part of my life. I want her to know you. Jamal nodded. Then let's go. They walked to the parking garage, got in the truck, drove toward Grosse Pointe, toward family, toward the hard conversation Victoria had been avoiding for 8 years, toward truth and healing and the messy work of putting broken things back together. The work begins. The days that followed were harder than the confrontation. Ashford's arrest made international news. Hartwell Medical stock crashed, 60% down in a week. Lawsuits from shareholders, criminal investigations expanding. Media camped outside Victoria's home. The company she'd fought to save was dying anyway, just slower, more painful. But Victoria didn't run. She showed up. Every day, to the office, to board meetings, to interviews with investigators. She faced every question, every accusation, every doubt. And slowly, painfully, she began to rebuild. The cardiac valve project was restarted. New leadership brought in. The embezzled funds frozen by the FBI were being recovered. Not all of it, but enough. The board, purged of Ashford's allies, elected new members. Younger, more diverse, more aligned with Jonathan's vision. Victoria worked 18-hour days, then 16, then 14, learning to delegate, learning to trust, learning that she couldn't do it alone. Jamal was there, not in the boardroom, but at her apartment, making dinner when she came home too exhausted to eat, listening when she needed to talk, holding her when words weren't enough. Emily came to stay, full-time. The conversation about Ashford being her biological father had been hard. Tears, anger, confusion, but also relief, finally knowing the truth, finally understanding why her mother had been so distant, why the secrets had piled up like stones between them. They started therapy, together, mother and daughter learning to talk, to trust, to rebuild what had been broken. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress, and progress was enough. Destiny joined them sometimes. Jamal's daughter and Victoria's daughter becoming friends, then sisters, playing together, fighting together, growing together. Two girls who'd both lost too much finding family in each other. Jamal's garage expanded. The publicity from the case had brought business. People wanted their cars fixed by the mechanic who'd taken down a CEO. He hired 2 more people, taught them his grandfather's philosophy: honest work, fair prices, help when you can. The sign his grandfather painted 40 years ago still hung above the door, still meant something. 6 months later, spring came to Detroit like a promise finally kept. The trees along Woodward Avenue burst with green. The river sparkled in the sun. The city, scarred and struggling but never quite defeated, pushed forward into another season. Another chance, another beginning. Williams' auto repair hummed with activity. Mrs. Chen's Camry sat in Bay 1, finally getting that timing belt after 6 months of delays. The Rodriguez family's minivan was in Bay 2. Destiny sat in the office doing homework, same as always. But now Emily sat beside her. The 2 girls bent over math problems, arguing about the best way to solve them. Jamal stood in the doorway watching them. His daughter and Victoria's daughter. His family expanding in ways he'd never imagined. In ways he'd stopped believing were possible after Sarah died. A Mercedes pulled into the lot. Black, new but driven carefully, respectfully. Victoria got out, professional clothes, but her face was softer now. Less guarded, she smiled when she saw him. "Busy day?" she asked. "Always you." Board meeting ran long, but good news. FDA approved the cardiac valves. We start production next month. Your father would be proud. I hope so. They stood in the garage. Oil smell and metal and honest work. So different from the corporate towers she'd come from. But Victoria felt more at home here than she ever had in her office. The girls are doing homework together, Jamal said. Good, Emily needs help with fractions. Destiny's better at math. Destiny needs help with reading. Emily's better at that. They balance each other out. Like us. Victoria looked at him. This man who'd saved her life in every way a person could be saved. Yeah, like us. They walked inside. The girls looked up, faces bright, happy. Emily ran to Victoria, hugged her. No hesitation, no distance, just love, pure, simple. The kind Victoria had thought she'd lost forever. Mommy, Destiny taught me a new way to do fractions. That's wonderful, baby. Destiny tugged on Jamal's hand. Daddy, can Emily stay for dinner? Jamal looked at Victoria, a question in his eyes. Victoria nodded. If it's okay with you. It's more than okay. They made dinner together, the 4 of them in Jamal's small kitchen. Spaghetti, garlic bread, salad, nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just food made with care and eaten with gratitude. The girls chattered about school, about friends, about a movie they wanted to see, normal things, beautiful things. After dinner, the girls played outside. The spring evening was warm. Long shadows, bird songs, the sound of children laughing. Jamal and Victoria sat on the porch steps, watching, grateful. I got an offer today, Victoria said. From a venture capital firm. They want to buy Hartwell Medical. 10 times what it's worth now. I could walk away, start over, be free of all of it. What did you say? I said no. Why? Because it's not about the money. It's about finishing what my father started. About proving that companies can do good and still succeed. About leaving something for Emily, for Destiny, for all the kids who deserve a world that values them more than profit. Jamal smiled. That sounds like Jonathan talking. Maybe, or maybe I finally figured out what matters. They sat in silence, comfortable, easy, the kind of silence that comes when two people understand each other without needing words. "I've been thinking," Jamal said, "about the future, about what comes next." "What comes next?" He pulled something from his pocket, a small box, velvet, old. He opened it. Inside, a simple ring, gold band with a single small diamond. "This was my grandmother's. She left it to me when she died, told me to give it to someone worthy, someone strong, someone who could stand beside me, not behind me." Victoria's breath caught, her heart racing. "Jamal, I'm not asking, not yet. I know we need more time, need to make sure, need to let the girls adjust, but I'm telling you, showing you. When the time comes, when we're both ready, this is what I want. You, me, the girls, a family, not because we're broken and need fixing, but because we're whole and want to share it." Victoria took the box, looked at the ring, tears in her eyes. "How will we know when we're ready?" "When you stop asking that question, when it feels inevitable, when saying yes is easier than saying no. Keep it safe, for me, for us, for when that moment comes." "I will." He put the box back in his pocket. Victoria leaned against him, his arm around her. They watched the girls play. Emily and Destiny, running, laughing, building something with sticks and imagination, creating their own world, their own family. "Do you think they'll be okay?" Victoria asked. The girls, growing up with all this, the scandal, the trial, the truth about Ashford. "Kids are tougher than we think, and they have something we didn't. They have the truth from the beginning. No secrets, no lies, just honest people doing their best." "Is that enough?" "It's more than enough, it's everything." The sun set. The sky turned copper and gold. Detroit spread out before them. Broken, beautiful, fighting just like them. Just like everyone who'd ever had to start over, had to rebuild, had to find hope in the ashes. Victoria thought about her father, about Jonathan Hartwell, who'd built a company from nothing, who'd believed in doing right even when it cost everything, who'd left her a legacy not of money or power but of integrity, of courage, of the unshakable belief that one person, standing firm, could change the world. She thought about Jamal, about a mechanic who'd run toward danger instead of away, who'd kept promises to dead men, who'd chosen to help a stranger and found family instead, who'd shown her that strength wasn't about never breaking. It was about healing, about choosing to love again even after loss. She thought about Emily and Destiny, about two girls who'd found each other across the wreckage of their parents' lives, who'd chosen to be sisters not because they had to, but because they wanted to, who represented the future, the hope, the proof that broken things could heal stronger than they ever were before. The story of Victoria Hartwell and Jamal Williams wasn't about a crash or a rescue or a corporate takedown. It was about people, broken people finding each other, choosing each other, building something beautiful from the wreckage. It was about fathers and daughters, about promises kept across death, about justice earned through courage, about love that shows up in unexpected forms and changes everything. It was about Detroit, about America, about the stubborn refusal to give up even when every reason says you should, about cities and people and dreams that get knocked down and get back up and keep fighting, keep loving, keep choosing hope. And sitting there on those porch steps, watching the girls play as the sun set over a city that refused to die, Victoria Hartwell finally understood what her father had been trying to teach her all along. Legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you inspire others to become. Justice isn't always swift, but it's always worth fighting for. Love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone who makes you want to be better. And family isn't about blood, It's about showing up, about choosing each other, about building something that matters every single day. The girls ran up to the porch, breathless, happy. "Can we do this again tomorrow?" Emily asked. Victoria looked at Jamal, saw her answer reflected in his eyes, saw the future spread before them. Uncertain, challenging, beautiful. "Yes," she said, to Emily, to Destiny, to Jamal, to herself. "We can do this again tomorrow and the day after, and the day after that, for as long as you want." "Forever?" Destiny asked. Victoria smiled, pulled both girls close, felt Jamal's arm around them all. "Forever." And in that moment, on a spring evening in Detroit, with the sun setting and the girls laughing and the man she loved beside her, Victoria Hartwell finally came home. Not to a place, but to a purpose, to a family, to a life worth living, to the unshakable knowledge that sometimes the worst day of your life is just the first step toward the best days still to come. The mechanic's daughter had found her way, not back to who she was, but forward to who she was meant to be, and that was enough. That was everything. That was victory.